Good morning, students. Welcome to session number 5 of A Sunny Morning by Quintero Brothers. In the previous session, we have seen the friendly conversation between Don Gonzalo and Donna Laura that was brought about by a pinch of snuff that Gonzalo had offered to Laura. And their friendly conversation helped them to understand that they had some common tastes, and poetry was one among them. They discussed poetry and a few poets, and their discussion on Campoamor led them to Valencia and then Marisela, the beautiful villa where the Silver Maiden lived. Gonzalo as well as Laura, both of them were very much familiar with Marisela and the Silver Maiden. Both of them take their turns to narrate the love story, the beautiful love story of the Silver Maiden and the gallant lover, the gallant horseman. And Laura does not explicitly tell Gonzalo that she herself is the Silver Maiden. For some reason, she hides her identity. Gonzalo realizes that it is Laura who sits in front of him, but he does not ask her. Laura tells Gonzalo that the Silver Maiden was her best friend and that's how she knew the story. And Gonzalo told Laura that the gallant horseman was his own cousin. They discussed even the duel, and after the duel, what happened to the lover? The gallant lover had to flee from Valencia, and Gonzalo explained to her that he had to go away from there. And it is almost here that we stopped in the previous session. So today, let us resume from here. Laura asked Gonzalo, "And was it you by any chance who advised your cousin to forget Laura?" So Laura is taunting him, teasing Gonzalo. She asks him, "See, did you ask your cousin to forget Laura? After the duel, he has gone away. And after that, there is no idea of him. So did you ask him to forget his beloved?" Gonzalo, "Why? My cousin never forgot her." So Gonzalo is telling, "Who told you that my cousin, the gallant horseman, had forgotten her? Never could he forget her in his lifetime." Laura, "How do you account then for his conduct?" Conduct here means behavior. So she's just asking, then you explain the behavior. What happened to the gallant horseman? After that, where was he? Where did he go? And he has disappeared. So how do you explain his behavior? Gonzalo, "I will tell you. So dear lady, I'll tell you what happened after that." He says, "The young man took refuge in my house, fearful of the consequences of a duel with a person highly regarded in that locality." So you know what happened? After the duel, he came to my home. I was there. And he knew that definitely the authorities would come for him, or at least the merchant's family would take revenge for his action. He knew that very well. So he was afraid. And then what did he do? From my home, he went to Seville and then came to Madrid. So he could not hide inside my home for many days. So he had to go away. And first he went away to Seville. Seville is another town, another city in Spain. And from there, he went to Madrid. So he had to go from place to place. He was not able to stay at one place because he was afraid that he would be found out and they would be taking revenge on him. He wrote Laura many letters, some of them in verse. But undoubtedly, they were intercepted by her parents, for she never answered at all. Now, intercepted means stopped. And now he says, you know what happened? He went to Seville, then he went to Madrid. But do you think that he had forgotten her? he never forgot her. He wrote letters, and that too some of the letters were written in verse. Verse means lines of a poem. All the love that he had for his beloved, he wrote in the form of poems and sent her. But no letter came back, no reply came back from Laura. He assumed that her parents had stopped these letters from reaching her. Her parents might have definitely taken the letters, otherwise he would have got a reply from her. So he never doubted Laura's or Laura Laurente's or the Silver Maiden's love for him. He was sure of it. But he knew that there might have been some foul play in that because she never answered his letters. Gonzalo then, in despair, believing his love lost to him forever, joined the army, went to Africa, and there, in a trench, met a glorious death. Grasping the flag of Spain and whispering the name of his beloved Laura. And you know what happened? He was so dejected. He was so disappointed and devastated. He expected one reply from Laura, and when he did not receive any letter from her, he was so sad and disappointed. And in that disappointment, he joined the army. And willingly he went to Africa. Again, this is a reference to the colonization by the Europeans. Spain had colonies in Africa, and Africa was considered by Europeans as the land of uncivilized barbarians. So willingly he went to the wilderness of Africa, and there he gave up his life. He died in a trench war. You know how he died? As he died, he was holding the flag of Spain, a death for his country. He was serving his own country in the army. So holding Spain's flag, he died, a death that any man, any proud man would have thought about. But even at that time, his lips uttered his beloved's name, Laura. So here Gonzalo knew very well the old woman in her 70s, the woman sitting in front of him, the woman sitting beside him is the same Laura Laurente, his own Silver Maiden. But he did not reveal his identity. She also did not reveal her identity. He wanted to create a very good impression about himself. He had to justify his action of going away from Valencia. He did not come back. If he had come back, definitely they would have been united. So he had to give a justification for his actions, for his fleeing from Valencia. So he makes up a story, he cooks up a beautiful story in which he gives himself a brave, heroic death, dying for his own country, but even at the time of death, even at the moment of death, whispering his beloved's name. So only a great lover can have such a death. And now see Laura's response, because she knows very well that this is a lie. She also has recognized the man, the 70-year-old man in front of her. So Laura, in an aside is speaking to the audience without the other characters on the stage hearing that. What an atrocious lie. So she was just thinking, how could her gallant horseman lie like this? See, when you are in love, you never find the negative qualities of your beloved. You always try to find only the positive qualities in them. And now she realizes that this man or her gallant horseman is capable of telling lies, because she knows very well he is not dead. Gonzalo, in an aside, I could not have killed myself more gloriously. So Gonzalo tells the audience, I have given myself a heroic death. I cannot give myself a better death than this. For any man, dying for his country is the utmost activity of bravery. He just tells the audience that I have given myself a clean, brave, heroic death. Laura, you must have been prostrated by the calamity. Yes, I understand. It is your cousin who went to Africa and died there. So you must have been taken aback. Frustrated means taken aback. You must have been taken aback by this calamity. Calamity refers to the death of the gallant horseman. Gonzalo, yes indeed, Senora, as if he were my brother. I presume, though, on the contrary, that Laura in a short time was chasing butterflies in garden, indifferent to regret. So now he says, yes, I was so devastated. You know why? My cousin was almost like a brother to me. But I don't think that Laura remembered him forever. Soon after that, she might have been chasing butterflies. Chasing butterflies refers to the action of enjoying oneself. So I think she must have been happy. She never regretted. See, for whom was the duel fought? The duel was fought by the gallant horseman for the sake of Laura. And what did she do? She might have been enjoying. She never regretted, I think. So again, he is just giving, he's teasing her. Laura, no, senor, no. No, I never did that. Laura never did that. Gonzalo, it is a woman's way. So now Gonzalo generalizes the situation. He says every woman is like that. Men do risk their own lives for women. But generally, women later forget them, live their own lives in a happy way. So it's common for women to do that. So I think Laura also might have done the same thing. Now, Laura, even if it were woman's way, the Silver Maiden was not of that disposition. See, do you think that Silver Maiden could do that? No. She also was a woman, but she was never having that sort of quality in her. She could never forget her horseman. My friend awaited news for days, months, a year, and no letter came. You know how eagerly she waited for his letter? She waited almost for a year, and not even a single letter reached her. One afternoon, just at sunset, as the first stars were appearing, she was seen to leave the house and with quickening steps went her way toward the beach where her beloved had risked his life. You know what my friend did? She was so unhappy, she was so disappointed and dejected because she did not get one letter from her horseman who had gone away from Valencia. She waited and she was so disappointed. And you know, one evening when the first stars were appearing, this is a reference to the early evening, stars were just coming up in the sky without anybody noticing. She just left the house. And what did she do? She went to the beach where her beloved had risked his life. She was thinking of her gallant horseman. She went to the beach and memories flooded. She wrote his name on the sand and then sat upon a rock, her gaze fixed upon the horizon. And she climbed onto a rock. She sat there listening to the sound of the sea waves. Now, before she went and sat on a rock there, what did she do? She wrote his name on the sand. Engraving the name of your beloved on the sand is done by many, many lovers. Now, there are several reasons for that. One reason is that whoever sees that name would remember that name forever. And again, when you write the name of your beloved on the sand, it also means that you miss him or her so much. So she just wanted to express her feelings, her emotions for him. She missed him really. So she wrote his name on the sand. And again, there is one more belief, a myth among the fishermen. If you write the name on the sand and if the sea waves do not wash that name away immediately, that shows that the fishermen folk who had gone to the sea to catch fish, they are safe and they will return immediately. But if the names are washed away, that means that there is some threat to the lives of these people. So she wrote the name and she expressed her emotions. She missed him so much, that's why she wrote the name. Then she went and sat on the rock. The waves murmured their eternal threnody and slowly crept up to the rock where the maiden sat. The waves murmured their eternal threnody. Threnody is a song of sadness. The waves kept on lashing onto the rock, and it is evening. And in the evening it is high tide. So the water level, the sea water level rose. So slowly the water level rose, and she was just listening. As she was listening to the monotonous sound of the sea waves, she felt that her own mind was full of sadness. She did not listen to anything else. She was completely engrossed with the thought of her own gallant horseman who had to go away from Valencia just because of her. The tide rose with a boom and swept her out to sea. And then what happened? The sea water level rose. The tides just came and took her away to the sea. So what does it mean? She drowned herself. She did not notice whatever was happening around her, and she just was carried away by the waves to the sea. She just wanted to mention, Laura wanted to tell Gonzalo that she committed suicide because she almost knew that he would not come back for her. And see Gonzalo's reaction. Good heavens! Gonzalo was also taken aback when he understood that the old woman sitting in front of him is capable of telling him lies. He knows very well that she is lying. Donna Laura, the fishermen of that shore who often tell the story, affirmed that it was a long time before the waves washed away the name written on the sand. You know, the fishermen used to tell the story of the silver maiden and the gallant horseman, but they told that the name that she had engraved on the sand, it was still there, and after so many days only it was washed away by the waves. So what does she intend to say? She intends to say that she died first and Gonzalo's death in the war, again it's a death created by Gonzalo himself for him, so that came later. And in an aside, she tells the audience, you will not get ahead of me in decorating my own funeral. See, I can weave better stories than you. I have neatly decorated my funeral, and definitely my story is much better than yours, she says. Gonzalo in an aside, she lies worse than I do. So he was also taken aback by the lie that she had told him. She says that I never expected that my silver maiden could say so. Poor Laura, poor Gonzalo. So both of them express their sympathies for each other. Laura in an aside, I will not tell him that I married 2 years later. See what has happened actually. Laura tells the audience, no, I will never mention to him. Did I wait for him? No. What did I do? 2 years later, I got married. I settled with somebody else. Gonzalo, in an aside, in 3 months, I ran off to Paris with a ballet dancer. And see, Gonzalo, he could not even wait for a year. Before that, in 3 months, he fell in love with a ballet dancer and he went to Paris. Again, Paris, the center of art and fashion, the center of enjoyment. So he just forgot Laura. See, what has he done? He had risked his life on the beach for the sake of Laura. But soon after that, he forgot her and he started enjoying his life. Donna Laura, fate is curious. Here are you and I, complete strangers, met by chance, discussing the romance of old friends of long ago. We have been conversing as if we were old friends. So now Laura tells him, see what fate has brought to us. And fate is curious. Curious here means strange. So strange. Today we sit here and we are discussing the story of our friends of long time back. And when we discuss with each other, I just feel that I'm talking to my friend. You also might have been experiencing the same way. So it's just as if we were the old friends, and after so many years we meet here. It's almost like that. And what fate has in store for us, we can never know. Gonzalo, yes, it is curious, considering the ill-natured prelude to our conversation. Now, prelude here means introduction. So, Gonzalo, just to remind us, see, what kind of start did we have? We started with arguments. You were feeding the birds, and then I came in, I scared away your birds, I did not want to sit with you. All these things happened, and we did not have a proper introduction to each other. I never thought that I would be able to talk with you like this. Fate is really strange. Laura, you scared away the birds. You know why we had such an ill-natured prelude to our conversation? Because of you. I was feeding my birds and you scared them away. That's why I had to speak to you in a rough way. So Laura tries to find fault with that old man even now, even after the friendly conversation went on. She's trying to find faults when she just wanted to tell him that she is perfect. Gonzalo, I was unreasonable perhaps, and the man is ready to take blame. If you keep on blaming each other, your relationship would never get on well. He knows that fact very well. So he says, probably I was not acting in a proper way. He takes the blame. Yes, that was evident. Yes, you are the reason. You started it. And naturally, when I felt offended, I might have given a reply in a rough way. And just to see the way her tone changes so sweetly, she asked Gonzalo, are you coming again tomorrow? My dear old man, it's time for us to leave. So will you come tomorrow? Can we meet tomorrow? Can we continue our conversation tomorrow? Most certainly, if it is a sunny morning. Yes, I will come, almost sure. But there is a condition. What is that? It should be a sunny morning. I am an old man and I have got my own problems. So if it is sunny morning, definitely I would come. And not only will I not scare away the birds, but I will bring a few crumbs. And don't worry, tomorrow I'll join you to feed the birds. I'll bring some breadcrumbs and I won't scare them away. So I'll be your friend forever. So it's a promise that Gonzalo gives her. So dear students, let us stop our class here, and in the next class we'll continue what happens to Laura and Gonzalo. Do they continue with their relationship? Do they tell each other that they are the old lovers who lived in Valencia? Thank you.